Okay, now while I'm waiting for this to dry, and I've got some stuff on order to make a leather product for another person, another individual, and while I'm waiting on that to come in, I decided to make myself a long-term project. It's going to be basically what I call a barbecue holster for this cheap plastic replica of a 4-inch Smith & Wesson K-frame. Now, what I'm planning on doing is using 7-ounce leather lined with 5-ounce leather with a 9-ounce welt. So that will give me, along my stitching edge will be that thick, which means when I go to put my stitch holes in, that's not going to make it all the way through, but my stitching all will. I'll have to go in through both sides, like I'll pound this into the leather, go as far as it'll go. That'll establish the angle of the stitch hole. Then I can take my stitching awl and it'll index into that angle and push it on through. But since my stitching awl is tapered, what I'll have to do is, after it goes through, index it on the angle on the other side and push it to where it meets up. That way I'll have a consistent width on my stitch holes. I could drill them, but I don't like drilling them. I don't like the look of drilled holes. I don't like the idea of removing material, because when you make a stitch hole with an awl or a punch, what it does is the in fact, let me show you with this one. The hole opens up because you're stretching it open, and then with time the hole closes back in and holds the thread, and I feel that's a lot stronger. This is a 3-inch K-frame, one of my Blue Jean holsters, Blue Jean tone. Well, actually it's a 3-inch L-frame, but it'll fit a K-frame too. Right. Here's the L-frame, and you can see it has just a little bit on the end. This is a 4-inch blue gun. That's the 3-inch mark. So it'll be just back just a little bit, and that'll help to protect the muzzle. So anyway, what I'm starting with is a blank sheet of paper. To figure out the parameters or the stitch line, first I have to measure what I'm going to make it out of. A piece of 5-ounce and a piece of 7-ounce together is, let's see if I can get that in there and look at it at the same time, just shy of 1/4 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that, but it is, trust me. So I'll take my K-frame and I'll lay it on there and tilt it over. Now that's pretty far. Then I got to figure that I'm going to need at least this much width in to fit. Also taking into consideration the characteristics of the leather itself. It's not going to be a full apron holster, but I do want to put a strap across it because I want to put a concho on it. So what I'll do then, after I have this in place, and I put my spacers on it, then I'll just go ahead and trace around it. Carefully, trying to keep my line perpendicular to the actual line of the revolver. And you can see it's back a little bit because, like I said, I like to have a little bit extra to help to protect the muzzle. And I'm planning on having this one curve. It's going to be an open muzzle, but it's going to curve around. Now we have 1/4 inch. Oh, one way I do the back side of it is I'll lay it along my line that I just made, and I make sure that this paper will come up to the center line of the gun and a little further. See right there? That's pretty close. I didn't take into consideration the width of, no, that's right. That'll fit. Actually, no, I want that a little further out. A little bit further than that. So I'm going to erase and start over. Okay, I'm going to work on this for a little while. Y'all don't need to watch me drawing lines and erasing them. And then I'm going to come back and explain what I've done. Okay, I thought I'd switch it on for a second to give y'all an idea of what I've come up with. Using my bendy straight edge ruler thingy, I've come up with, well, I made the shape of it so I can just trace it on the inside. And basically, that's the shape I'm going for. Now, I'm planning on having a strap around this point because I'm going to put a big concho in the middle of it. And the belt loop's going to fold over and it's going to be held in place by that strap. The belt I'm going to put it on is going to be a big heavy duty double 9-ounce Ranger belt. But like I said, this is a long-term project. It's going to be my project between projects project. So I'm going to erase my old lines and then bring this cheap plastic replica back over and see where I'm at. Now, one thing about a revolver is you still have lots of room here, like with this one here. No, that's not a good one. Here we go. With this one here, even when it's inserted all the way, even with the strap folding over, the trigger guard is pretty much completely covered. You still have lots of room to get a grip. Whereas with the semi-auto, if it's covered up, the trigger guard is completely covered, you don't really have that much room. You got to curve it down to give yourself room to get a proper firing grip on it. And you want to have a proper firing grip on your holster, because if you got to pull it out of your holster and fire it, you don't need to be impeded in it. So for this one, excuse my head, I'm going to bring it all the way up to here. So this line is going to come over to that point. And this line is going to come up to meet it. I basically want it pretty much straight. But what I will do is I will curve it a little. First of all, let me get my line straight. There we go. Now let's see what we got. Okay. Now this is actually going to be my stitch groove. I still have enough paper off the edge here, just enough to make the final trim line for the holster. We're just going to come around here. I want about 1/8 of an inch between here and here, so it doesn't need to be a lot. I'm also going to put a welt in here, so altogether this line is going to be about 1/8 inch over here and 1/8 inch over here, which will be plenty even with a huge mound of leather. The way I do it is I eyeball it by bending it up. Now it needs to go at least 1/4 inch past the center line of the trigger guard. So you bend it up like that. If you have to, you can use a ruler and check it. And I can see that I am well over to my welt line. I'm a little bit more than 1/4 inch away. which is just right. This side, I did the same thing. I folded it up, and I want to make sure I have enough clearance on this side because it's also going to have a 1/4 inch of leather over here, and it looks good to me. So I'm good there. Now, for the rest of it, I'm planning on putting a guard over the hammer and the rear sight, which is just going to be an extra piece of leather that's going to come up here, maybe a little more, about like that, and it's going to wrap around the rear sight and the hammer. Okay, I'm going to work on this a little bit more and come back to you. Okay, that's basically what I've come up with. I don't know how well you can see that. If it's anything like my monitor, it's not very clear. But it's got a little protector here that's going to cover the hammer and the rear sight. The trigger is going to be completely covered. And the cylinder is going to be pretty much covered. There's going to be a little extra at the end. And it's going to have a welt. Now, I need to start designing the belt loop. So I'm going to come off the top here, come in over 1/4 inch, again because of the thickness of the leather. Then I'll also come up on this side, but on this side I want to make an arc. So I'll use my bendable thingamajigger again. Come around on this way and give it an aesthetic arc. I want to make sure I come to this point. And this point is going to be, let's see, about 2 inches in. So I want to be about 2 inches in. Which will put it right about there. Mark up. And then on this other side, bring this line straight up. Now I'm just going to eyeball it. You can usually tell pretty good where you're at just by eyeballing it. Bring that line straight up. Now I got to straighten out this one, so I'll eyeball that straight up too. Yeah, I know, dead air, which puts it right about there. Now what I'm going to have to do is complete this side. I still have to come out to and delineate the very edge of the holster. This is just a stitch line. That's just against which the gun will fit. And once that's bent up, plus all the leather I'm going to stuff in there, that's pretty much going to be it. Then I'll be able to cut it out, see how it looks, and make changes from there. So we'll come back again. Okay, here's what I've come up with so far. It's got this part, and this is the belt loop, which is going to fold over the back, and then across that will be a strap here. Then I'm going to have another strap that's going to come over here, snap, but it's not going to be a snap, it's going to be a Sam Browne stud that's going to hold that strap down. I left myself plenty of room to do whatever design I feel like doing. So far this is it. I've changed the design a few times because I felt like it. And you can see how that's going to fit around there and fit around there. About like that. Then this is going to be stitched and welted along here. This is going to fold around the back, and it's going to have a strap that comes around and across here, across this point, and in the middle of it I'm going to have a concho, so it'll be a decorative piece. I'm going to have to figure out a way to contour that strap to fit here though. I might say heck with it and just sew the belt loop on. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, this is my little project between projects project. And this is what I'm going with so far. Now when I make a pattern, I'll usually take it, flatten it out. Oh, I got one under here. This is one I didn't use. Put it under here, leave it sit for a while, take it out a little bit later, take a look at it, go, what the hell was I thinking, and completely redesign it. Basically, don't be afraid to completely redesign it.